Hello, welcome to the Cables, Lace, and Hills podcast. My name is Sue, and I am a maker from northwestern Wisconsin. How's it going? It's going pretty good. So, let's see. I am happy to be back at work. It is in our second week of school, so the students have been there like a full week. They started last Wednesday. Today is Wednesday. I am recording today because I have a lot of family and other obligations in store for me for the rest of the week. School is going well. Things are running like clockwork. We're reteaching. We're having fun today. I will say that there were many kids grabbing onto each other and even choking each other with the other person's hoodie. That's why we reteach in September. So, let's see. Yes, I have been working extra shifts as a ticket booth at a ticket booth for volleyball and football games, and I did volleyball last night, and I'm doing football on Friday. And this weekend I have family visiting from out of town, and last weekend we went up to the Twin Cities for another family get together, and so I haven't really gotten a lot of stuff done on a lot of my projects. However, I have been working on dishcloths because I need to make about 60. I'm always unsure on how many people we have. I think last year was 55, but we may have more people this year at school. But for Christmas, I give a simple dishcloth to each employee, teacher, para, janitor, doesn't matter, cook, each person gets one. And I just use either, I like these bamboo needles for in the car because they don't create any click click sounds and it doesn't irritate anybody driving. I'm not driving, but the other person driving. It doesn't irritate them, and it's real nice and quiet, and it's real easy to focus on this and not the traffic because yeah, I don't know what else to say. So I take this along with me. I made 1.5 on that trip because we left so late at night. I don't think we got on the road until 8:30, 9 o'clock, and we live 2 hours away. So there's no time to, like, I can't wear a light in the car because that is too distracting, and I think it's against the law because you can't drive with your lights on inside the car. Anyway, it was fine visiting family. I just am exhausted, as most people are, because, you go, 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 go all week, and then the weekend comes, and then you have to go, 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 go. September is always super busy for us, and it's just not going to let up this year, I have a feeling. My daughter's getting older, and she has more things to be involved in, and we just have more things to do. So I am working on this. I just want to finish this row. All right. So basically, for my dishcloths, you can follow patterns, but the last 2 years, I have decided instead of following a pattern and making all these different patterns, which is fun, I'm not gonna lie, I really did have fun, but I'm using these as like my mindless knitting time. I know what to expect. So I think this one is 36 stitches across, and this one was 33. I like to do at least 30 to 36. 39 is getting a little bit too long, and the reason why I go for 30 or 33 or 36 is that I usually put 3 stitches of garter on the side. When I was doing 5 stitches of garter, it would be really like hourglassy shape, kind of cinching in right there. But the 3 stitches, for me at least, does pretty good. And then you'll see I have some little purl bumps. This one, I believe, I did 11 rows. technically I think it's 12 rows, but the way I count it, I count how many V's are, and when I get to 11 V's, I don't count the one on here. That's why it's 12. But I just realized I've been doing this wrong forever, and I'm going to keep doing it wrong forever. So once I count 11 rows in this section, I will then do a knit row, knit row, knit row. So in this, it's always odd. So if it's 7 or 9 or 11, however, I wasn't paying attention. This one is 7. So then I wanted it to be a certain, I'm real scientific. I measure my dishcloths by putting it on my hand. All right, it's a good size, you know, because you don't want something too big or too small. And I have an average size hand because there's bigger people than me. And then we have a teacher, she's a music teacher. When I first started working there, I thought she was a 5th grader. She's very petite. I told her that, she laughed. And so I was like, why is she telling kids to behave? She looks super young as well. Anyway, a little story about these needles. I was thinking about this the other day when I was working with them. For years, I wanted to learn how to knit, but every time I asked somebody, it was, no, not right now, or I don't want to, of that nature. And my daughter was under the age of 2, no more than the age of 2. And we had gone to Woodbury, Minnesota. They have a Trader Joe's right next to a Michael's in that vicinity. You know, like Trader Joe's is over here and Michael's is over there. And we stopped at Michael's and I saw these, and I think they were like $8 at the time. It was under 10. And I said, oh, I really want these. And I wasn't working, so I was dependent on my husband buying them for me at the time, and I really wanted them. And then he kind of questioned me, will you even use them? And I said, oh yeah, I'm going to teach myself how to knit. Well, excuse me. I did not learn how to knit until 2016. Yes. Wait, 2017? I think that was, let me think, I was 45, 2016. And I started working with these right away. However, these are the clover bamboo, and they're very smooth now. But when you first start working with them, they have that gripping nature. And I was using acrylic yarn that I had from, I think, my grandma. And so it was older acrylic yarn, which is really stiff and crunchy. And I was making a scarf, and it was just like, I felt like I was going to break the needles. I was so nervous. I learned how to knit from YouTube. So I also had bought in books. I should have brought that out here, but it's a small book, and it has like troubleshooting why you're having trouble with knitting. And I looked up, you know, the stitches are too stiff, and it said if you're knitting too tightly, switch to plastic or metal needles, which I did with that yarn, and I made a scarf. You know, I think I know where it is. Hold on. Thank you for waiting. I am not prepared. I came home right from school, and I just need to get this done because I have to go to the grocery store, etc. Well, this isn't the exact scarf, but it's very similar to that. It's probably of the same Caron Simply Soft yarn. This one I probably did second or third, or maybe later, because I was really teaching myself just to go back and forth and just to get used to the stitches. So with this kind of yarn and this kind of needle, even putting it through here, it like sticks too much. These needles for me are very good for cotton, and I only use them for dishcloths now. And this one, I know I used a straight metal needle, and it's a very simple pattern I got from, I think, a Kate Asherly book, where you just cast on flat, and then on one side you, how does that go? One side you increase, and the other side you decrease, and then you get this pointy scarf. This is a really old scarf. This is one of my first ones, and that's what I did to teach me how to knit. I just made scarves. It wasn't that big of an investment of yarn or time or or complications. My first scarves were, straight like dishcloths. I mean, you could make a scarf just like this using the same kind of method of, little ridges and whatnot. I've made a scarf out of a single, it was like, it's a bookmark. And I just made it like 5 feet long. So you can do anything, is what I'm trying to say. When I taught myself how to knit, I was so afraid of making mistakes. And now, how many years later? How old am I? I am 9 years, 9 years into my knitting journey. And now I accept mistakes and I can fix mistakes, or I can, sometimes I used to just rip everything back, and now I'm getting better at having, like, if I drop a stitch, I know how to fix it. If I make a mistake, lace is my one real nemesis still. I'm trying to fix the lace issues. If I drop a stitch, sometimes it's just easier to rip back to your safety line. That's a huge relief when you get to do that. So I gave this to my daughter. She wore it all through grade school. Now she doesn't wear a coat at all. We'll see how this winter goes, because it's going to be a cold one, they say. So I have been working on my dishcloths. I have this one here, and then I was looking for this one as well, but I couldn't find it. And this is size, so this is a size 8 or 5 millimeter. It is really nice to work on something like this for dishcloth, because it's middle of the road on thickness, and it gives your hand a break from like thin. My cat is over here. We will discuss this one later because she's so naughty. Hello. It's Tallulah. Well, hello, Tallulah. May I help you? Would you like to come over here and see me? She wants all the yarns. You see her? She's right here. Oh, touching her. All right, so this is another one. Simple, same as before. I'm just using, I think it's called Peaches and Cream from Walmart. Yes, Peaches and Cream from Walmart. It's $1.97 still per skein, which I can get at least 2 to 2.5 dishcloths per one. So these needles, I believe, are from my grandma. They're very old. You can tell by the, I'm gonna hold it. Maybe I'll hold it like that. You can tell by the numbers and the information. Let me see. Did I hold it right? Anyway, it doesn't matter. One is a different color than the other. So it was left in the sunlight, obviously. Now, my grandma, my crocheting grandma would inherit all of like the great aunts or great grandma's stuff. She didn't really knit too much. She preferred to crochet. However, she, kept everything. And then I inherited a lot. So I used the size 7s most of the time to make these dishcloths, because I'm afraid to take these with me, except in the car for those car rides, because I don't want to break these. These do have a special meaning to me because I got them before I learned how to knit, and it was incentive for me to learn how to knit. Now, dishcloths aside, I really didn't do that much. You know, I've been very tired. So it's very easy for me to just pick up something and go back and forth. The other thing I have been working on like that, and I have to get, I think, to 13.5 inches, and I'm about 10 inches, is my second front panel for my upcycle alpaca blend cardigan. This is in the color titanium. This will be the right front, so it'll be over here. And I am doing size 42 in stitch count. And when I say size 42, I mean 42-inch bust from my Ann Buds book that I show every week. And once I get this side done, then I just have my 2 sleeves, the button band, blah, blah, blah. It is beautiful. I really love this yarn. This one skein that I'm working with right now is a little bit more scratchier than the ones before that. And I'm just hoping when I soak it, it'll become more like my cherry sweater. I am using Knit Picks Reflections needles. I believe this is a size 4. Someone is coming to say hello. She was very naughty this weekend. She does not like us leaving her behind. So I am an affiliate member with Knit Picks. If you look down in my description, there is a link. If you decide to buy anything, I receive a small commission. So this is just going to be a simple stockinette sweater. I wanted it simple so it would match a lot of things. Plus, mindless knitting right now is key to my survival. I am doing a 1x1 rib. The needle size for the body is, I believe, a size 4. And then I did a size 2.5 for the ribbing. Yes, it's a US 4 or 3.5 millimeter. The blend is wool, alpaca, and acrylic. It is really pretty. So I've been working on that very little, to be perfectly honest. And then the one thing I have been working on quite a bit, and it is keeping me very happy. However, we left on Saturday, and I thought I cover everything with a blanket, and then I put stuff on top because my cat, who's I think behind me, she knows how to open up bags. So I had it in this bag, and this bag is, you know, I tie it. So it's just tied simply, and I thought it's gonna be fine. And then when we got home, I was taking care of our dog outside, and I got in, and my daughter says, "Oh, you're not gonna like what happened." And I knew it was my yarn. I knew. I'm like, oh, I don't even want to see it. I didn't want to deal with it. But I got out in the living room, and my project was in my cat's kill spot. My main concern was my needles, which I'm using the Knit Picks Reflections lace set. Now, I have quite the mess here. I am working on this side. So I don't know who I learned this from, but I really like this idea of taking a hair tie, just an elastic rubber band, or, you know, rubber band hair tie. And then I tie up my needles so the stitches can't fall off, right? I'm so glad I did that, because one time I didn't, and they got into my yarn and they chewed my needles, and I had to get new needles because there were little chips and nicks and whatnot. I was very unhappy with myself for leaving my project in the way of them finding it and destroying it. So I came home. My daughter told me went into the living room and I saw it laying there, tangled, mangled. But the funny thing is, okay, the yarn was all tangled and mangled. I mean, as you can see, she had a lot of fun with this skein. She didn't do too much with this one, but she had a lot of fun. And this was actually laying flat for the most part. Now I have fixed a lot of it. You can kind of see where she like picked it up, and there was like right down here, there's a little snag, but from the front, you can't notice. So I'm calling it a win. Now, I'm working on, this is the back. So it's gonna be, behind me. This is the left side. This is the right side. I'm working on the right front right now. I have to do some increases, and then you put the stitches on hold, but on the right side, you make the increases and then you add stitches. I always get to this point where I think it's gonna be too small. I'm not going to be able to fit into it. I should go up to a size. Why didn't I go up to a size? And then I look at the pattern again, and the next size up is for 48-inch bust. I don't have a 48-inch bust. I'm more small on top than I am on bottom. So I'm going to trust the process. And, if it doesn't fit me, I don't know if I would rip it back, but I would give it to my daughter. So there's that part. And then I could just make another one the same size. This is a lot of fun. I really enjoy this yarn. Last time I talked about it, I thought incorrectly that you pick up for the fronts down on this. This is the bottom edge. You pick up the fronts on the cast on edge. So you start here and you work your way down to a certain point. And then you pick up stitches here. I'm going to show you. It looks pretty good. It looks like a little normal seam. And then this one is pretty good as well. It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. And, read the directions because I did not. I skimmed them. And so I was like, wait, what? Am I doing this wrong? No, I'm not. But I just picked up, for the pattern she asks you to do a backwards loop cast on, I do not like the backwards loop cast on. I just don't. So I used a long tail cast on, which I think is just fine. I mean, I don't think that's gonna bother me. Other shirts, you have that same little ridge. It's not that bad. And then for the front here, I lost my rubber band. When you cast on, she states, it's, I'll show you the pattern in a second, states another backwards loop cast on. But I'm going to do, and I don't know if it is technically a backwards loop cast on, I don't know what it is, but you put the yarn over twice and then you pull the yarn over. And then you keep doing that over and over, which creates a more structured edge. And I like that better. The backwards loop cast on for me is too loosey-goosey, and it pisses me off. It just pisses me off and I don't like it. So the yarn I'm using here is Patons Linen. It is a discontinued yarn. I don't know why. It's beautiful. It's 65% cotton and 35% linen. This is the color Sweet Potato and this is the color Goldenrod. I really, really like it. I do have quite a bit of the Sweet Potato, only one of the Goldenrod, and then I have I want to say 5 or 6 skeins of like a soft pink, which I plan to make another under sweater top. This top is the Sailor Swift top by Kutovakika. It's a lovely pattern. I am really, it's well written. I love how it's in the step, just like Ann Bud's book. You just go to one step and you just continue until that part's done, and then you move to the next part. I really like it. It's a very fun pattern. I want to make more striped stuff. In fact, I'm going to segue. Let me just make sure I told you everything. Oh yeah, okay. One more thing. I'm really thankful my cat didn't eat the yarn, break my needles, or, you know, eat the rubber band. No need to go to, or the rubber tubing that I have right here. I got this from Amazon on a spool. I know you can buy it from Etsy, from little shops and whatnot, but I always like to be prepared. And I like having a spool of this, and I have it in many different sizes. So I cut it for one project, use it for that, and then use it again for a different project. Now I'm going to put this in and make a huge mess and have to undo it all later. Usually it's not too hard, but blah, blah, blah. So a long time ago, but not that long ago, but there was a sale. There's always a sale. Oh, now I know why she was so quiet. Oh my gosh. Good thing is this is a gauge swatch. I put this down by my feet thinking I would know. No, we didn't know. So this is a gauge swatch. It is way too loose. This was, I was using a size US 10, which is 6 millimeter. Too loose. And it is 2 strands of Plotalopi yarn. I got it from Little Knit Seattle. I don't know what the color is, but it's this beautiful gray heathery color. I am planning, and then I'm planning, and then I get derailed in my planning, and then I think, ooh, I should do this, or I should just make a sweater, just a simple sweater, or ooh, wouldn't it be neat to make like a landscape sweater? I think about that. Okay, so gray sky, right? You know, gray sky, and I have this green that kind of reminds me of like when you look at Scotland or northern England, that heathery green, because heather is purple, but the greenery along the heathery stuff in the moors and whatnot. And then I have brown, and I have like, I think yellow. And I was just thinking, oh, wouldn't it be neat to have like some form of a tree landscape? Now, the reason why I brought that up, it's like I just knew I needed it. I bought this pattern. I'm not going to take it out of the plastic. Oh, there. You can see the trees and whatnot. I bought this. It was like $2. I know it was a really great deal, and I bought a lot of them. However, I wasn't really paying attention to sizing, but I thought, who cares? Just get it. It's definitely 70s. You can tell by the collars. I took it out of the plastic. You can tell by the collars, but it is just super cool. Now, I've looked at this pattern. I thought, well, you know, you make a basic sweater. And it gives you some information. I can't... It's Fair Isle knitting. But it also could be, what do you call them? What is that word? Intarsia knitting. But the thing about, I guess I'm going to use it, I guess I could use it as a jumping off point, because here's the graph, which is cool, and then that's the other part of the graph. So it's on 2 different pages, which is a little confusing because it's on the way I printed it, it's on the same page. And there's all these little, what do you call them? Like the key to it isn't attached to this pattern. And it's in black and white. So, I mean, you would have to figure all of this out anyway. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. So, but I mean, using and but, I was thinking, this is, okay. I really like this pattern because I think it's super cool of having like this tree landscape, right? And then I thought, well, I could just use one of my pattern books. I have a top-down sweater pattern book. I could just use any top-down sweater pattern and then kind of copy this thing. And then I was thinking about using my Patons yarn. However, I'm not going to do that now because that would require, it would require quite a bit of creating a pattern with this, and seeing, you know, like making my own key and whatever. I'm not saying it's not impossible. I just don't want to do it at this time. And so then I thought, and this yarn for this idea is probably not the best choice because I want to use a double strand. And sometimes I'll use my, here. Okay. Sometimes Plotalopi is super strong, like right here. It's super strong. When you work together, it becomes like this really strong. Lopi yarn is a hair sheep yarn, but it's also super delicate, and it can just come apart. Yes, you can split splice this relatively easy. It does hold on to itself relatively easy. Look at my hands are just a little bit moist, not even, and I can just rub this right together. So this is not the yarn for that. However, I gotta make another gauge swatch so I know, you know, stitches and whatnot. And I thought about doing the stripe hype sweater with this yarn. And then I thought, well, what if I don't like, what if I just make a sweater out of here, you know, stripes or whatever. So I really don't know. And then I thought about using this yarn for one of the patterns by Linka Newman in her wilderness books. However, with the color work aspect, my concern is wrapping and pulling it apart by accident and then having to put it together again. And so I do have a lot of various colors for this. So I'm kind of leaning towards the striping of the sweater. But it is really not skin, next to skin, super soft. It does have that woolly nature to it. It does get a lot softer the more you wear it, and after washing my Foika sweater, which was the Alaphus Lopi yarn, it was a lot softer. It was a lot softer. So I was playing around with this. I don't want to use up too much of this because it's so pretty, and I don't want to buy more right now at this time. But it's just this beautiful heathered yarn. It's, you know, so I have like a green, a brown, a golden brown. I think I have a black. I'm not 100% sure. I know I have a like a golden color, a pink color. So yeah, but kind of following Kutovakika's pattern on how to change colors, so it just like kind of goes up the side. That might work, so you don't have too many things to weave in. I don't know. Right now, until probably the end of September, I am not going to plan any new projects, and I'm just going to work on simple stockinette stitch cardigans, dishcloths, because I need to make these for Christmas time. I have to have them done the week before Christmas because that's when we're done I think Christmas is is it on a Thursday? It's on a Wednesday or Thursday this year. and we're done the Friday before. So I have to have it done by the Friday before, which is probably like the 19th or so. Anyway, that is about it for today. I would like to thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for liking, and thank you so much for your comments. I truly appreciate it, and I enjoy getting on here and babbling away and talking about life and all that fun stuff. It is a beautiful time of year. September in Wisconsin is always, it is just so pleasant. It just reminds me of the best times of the year. When I was young, like I'm talking like really young, kindergarten time period, loved going to school. Loved it. The new clothes, the new shoes, the new supplies, and then you go to school and you get to do all the fun stuff with your friends, and we had more recess time at that time in life. Kids don't get much of a recess now. They get a half hour for lunch, and then they get the morning, but you know, I'm not in charge of how much time they get, but I really think they should get more, and teachers believe that as well, as so does administrators. But you know, your hands are tied with I lost something, with government and regulations. Like, we want to, you know, compete internationally, and you know, why is it important? And I'm sure if you pay attention, you know why. I'm not going to get involved in that. So, school is here. September is apple season time around here. The leaves have already started to change. There's like this crispness. Mosquitoes are dying, and every time they die, it makes me so happy because they're just menaces. It's just a really nice time of year. Now, I like all seasons. That's why I like Wisconsin. And this winter is supposed to be super cold, but we'll see. You know, maybe they're right. Maybe they're wrong. Who knows? And what will come January may be different than what comes in November. It always is. And we always get that week or two of sub-zero weather, and, you know, we just deal with it and move on. So, I gotta go pick up my daughter and do some grocery shopping. I am out of cream. Cream makes your coffee taste delicious. So, until next week, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope I have more progress on some of the things I make, and more ideas for some of the things I want to make. And then maybe I will even find some of the things I want to show you that I keep putting off. Until then, thank you for stopping by. Take care and have fun. Bye for now.